am the Son of Man to whom Yahweh prophesied, to prophesy to you, my people in America, who represent the dry bones. And if you don't understand that America is the valley of the dry bones, when you do understand that, you'll understand Psalms chapter 23, which says that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. See, here's that valley again. I will fear no evil. It's the same valley, America. Because America is an evil place. The valley of America is evil. See, though I walk through this valley, which is truly a shadow of death for black folk, police may stop you at any time. I received a call from two of my elders in Kansas City and St. Louis, and they said that in that area of the country, a white man will drive up to day workers on the corner, fill up his pickup truck, and ask how many want to work today. And my people, brothers, get on the truck, and they're never heard from again. Now, I've been warning you for 5 years this day would come. I told you this day was coming. And by having elders out in over 100 cities, I am able to hear what is really going on in those cities, which they don't put in the papers. Now, this was not one truckload, several. Now, my people in that area are running scared. There are no police investigations. Mothers, sons, wives, husbands, sisters, brothers, children's fathers who trusted white people, and not one that has ever gotten on those trucks have come back. Can you wonder what happened to them? Have an idea? The race war that the Ku Klux Klan and other groups, white supremacist groups in America, have already declared war on you, my people. And as I speak to you here at National Headquarters, I'm speaking also to 100 cities across the country. They are after you now. The war is already on. The Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fire furnace is now heating up. We are the Hebrew brothers, the Hebrew men, women. But only us in white who worship Yahweh are not going to be touched. There'll be no smell of the flame on us. We will be delivered from the flame, because there's one inside that looks like the Son of Man that's taking the heat out the flame. That's me. Praise Yahweh. See, if you go back and study the book of Daniel, chapter 1, you will discover that when we were brought into slavery, the first thing the King Nebuchadnezzar did was change our names. He gave us over to the Enoch to change our names, our Hebrew name. And they gave us names after themselves. When we were brought to America, that's the first thing they did, is took our Hebrew names and gave us slave names, like Johnson Smith called people Roundtree, Overwood, Underwood, Bluebird, Greenbird, Stone, Higginbottom, and so forth. Slave masters' names. But there was one, the Son of Man, entered into the scene. The enemy didn't throw the Son of Man in the flame, he threw the Hebrew boys in. And no one ever taught us that Hebrew name. They taught us the name that was changed. You know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That was the changed name. You see? So in order to know the truth, you have to be taken back to the reality of what was going on. So that to bring that out helps us to understand when we're reading an allegory such as the Valley of the Dry Bones. I am the Son of Man spoken of here. So now to understand this, you need a Bible. If you didn't bring a pad and paper, then you're just going to leave here with an impression. Hard as I teach and hot as I teach, your impression is subject to be extremely disturbing when you leave here. I'm guaranteed to disturb your mentality and your spirituality as well as your intellectuality. Guaranteed. You'll never be the same, though you won't accept what truth you hear. All you're going to hear is right from the book. And if you don't get excited about the word, what are you going to get excited about? What I demonstrated a few moments ago was that all of our lives we went to church. All of us in here were in some different denomination. Everybody. Some in here were Muslims and everything else. Everything that was in the country is in here. And those of us in here, we from all over the country in here. In Tampa, Florida on Saturday, Elder Hema called, let me listen on the phone. They were praising Yahweh from Ocala, Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete, Palmetto. And he said there were hundreds of people standing outside our temple trying to get in, hundreds. And they were just standing watching because they couldn't get in. But the city is falling to Yahweh. And that's what's going on all across the country. All the way to Oakland, Los Angeles, all across the country, north and south, east and west. People are waking up, coming home. The dry bones coming together, bone to bone, as I prophesied to the bones. Now, in our kindergarten way of thinking, we would think of a skeleton, a dead man, like in a cemetery. But this is an allegory letting us know, how could you speak to some bones and they hear? How do bones have ears? Praise Yahweh. The black people of America are the dry bones. So in verse 10, I prophesied as Yahweh commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up on their feet, an exceeding great army. That's what I'm bringing about. That's my work taking place here in the hills of North America. I'm the only one that can bring this exceedingly great army into existence from dry bones. It matters not who fights against me. Yahweh said he will fight against you who fight against me. He will consume you who contend with me. Praise Yahweh. Absolutely. An exceedingly great army. Revelation 11:11. This is a book you don't get taught out of in the church. Revelation, they're scared of this book. They can't explain all these beasts in here. Revelations 11:11. Read.
And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
Now that's talking about you and me. This 3.5 days represents another allegory of over 300 years, which is the 400 years spoken of in Genesis 15:13, that our people, the seed of Abraham, would be in slavery and bondage to the white man of America, and we would serve them, and they would afflict us with evil for 400 years. So the 3.5 days represents the 400 years that we would be here, over 300 years. And it says, after this, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them. See, over here in Revelation 37:10, it says, I prophesied to them and breathed the breath of life into them, and they stood up an exceedingly great army. This is a reference to that. Revelation 11:11. Then I took you this past class back to verse 8. And said, our dead bodies would be in the street of that great city. The great city is America. America has been the greatest country on earth. The number one leader. Which spiritually, see, Revelations tell you here, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. See, Sodom and Egypt are spoken of spiritually here. The great city is also spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Therefore, and when you see this part of Revelation being fulfilled is when you could look back spiritually at the conditions that was taking place in Sodom. Homosexuality, when the punks and the sissies in the days of Lot tried to grab off the two angels which came to Lot's house so they could have punk sex with them. And the angel struck him with blindness and told Lot to take his family out of the city because they were going to destroy it for their evil, wicked sodomites.